Hi, my name's Starsky and welcome to From the Studio on Clubbing TV. In this episode, I'm going to take a look at the very, very small but very, very powerful Arturia Microfreak. And as you heard in that demo track, it might be small, but it can sound absolutely huge. So what exactly have we got here? We've got a digital oscillator, analog filter, a couple of envelopes, an LFO, an ARP and a sequencer, and a lovely little modulation matrix. On the back, we've got CV and gate out, so you can hook it up to your modulator. We've got clock in and out, so you can sync it up to anything you like. We've got MIDI in and out through these little mini jacks. And we've got USB out for MIDI and for hooking it up to the Arturia MIDI control center. And you get these adapters in the box so you can hook it up to any of your standard MIDI interfaces. It's also got this funky looking little keyboard as well. And these patterns aren't there just to make it look cool, they're actually the PCB. And when your finger touches a key, it creates the circuit and you play a note. And the more you push down on it, more of the surface of your finger touches the connections, which means you've got aftertouch or pressure control as well. And you can see here on this modulation matrix, pressure, so pressure to the pitch, turn it up. So even though it's not a proper keyboard, got lots of expression and lots of things you can do with it. We've also got down here controls for the arpeggiator and the sequencer, and this strip here is used for pitch bend. It's also used for controlling these spice and dice parameters, and they're used for controlling the amount of randomization you put on your arpeggiator patterns, and I'll show that later if I get a chance. But I thought it was worth showing this. It's been out since April 2019, so it's been out for a year and a half already, but they've just brought out version 4, so it's sort of come back into my consciousness, as it were. It's really quite cool. You can change things in the oscillators, and I'll show that in a second. So let's move over to the oscillators now. And the oscillators in this really are the heart of what makes it so flexible. They've got the roots in modular systems, and we've got some mutable plats in here and some noise engineering as well. So these are really well known and really powerful oscillators, and they're controlled through these 4 orange knobs. And what we've got, if we look at this, we've got loads of different types of waves. So we've got basic, superwave, wavetable, harmonic, car plus strong, virtual analog, wave shaper, 2-op FM, 4-man chords, speech, modal, noise, bass, what's that, SAW X, vocoder. So yeah, that's what this microphone's for. We've got a vocoder in there as well. But each of those creates tones in a different way, and these orange knobs do different things depending on which oscillator you're using. So starting off, for example, with the basic waves, let's just reset the patch. I'm going to pull up a little oscilloscope. It's something I normally do on my YouTube channel actually when I'm getting really geeky and getting really into the heart of a synth, but it's a really nice way of showing exactly how different all of these are. So you can see that change in there from a square wave to a sawtooth. And with this one, we're changing the shape of the wave. And the third one adds a sub. So that's what they do on the basic waveforms on this, but on every single type of oscillator, they do something a bit different. So there's the super wave. Let's turn them all down. So there we're detuning the waves. They were changing the volume of the different waves. And they were changing the shape of them. But that's really nice, isn't it? Sounds pretty powerful already, and all we've done is turned it on and put it on a super saw. What's next? What's next? We've got wavetable. In this, we've got 16 different wavetables. If we go through there, 16 different ones, and each of these wavetables contains lots of waveforms, all related to each other. So in this case, this timbre knob moves through the different wave shapes in the wavetable. And the shape knob adds chorus. And then I was just running through a few of the wavetables. So you can see there's a huge amount of sonic potential in this. Let's try another. Here's the basic FM oscillator. Nice for bell tones, does really nice basses as well. So it can get really rough and gnarly sounding. That bass in that demo track at the intro is just filthy, isn't it? And that uses one of Noise Engineering's oscillators called bass. And that's what I use for the bass in the demo track at the start. And by modulating all these different parameters up in the modulation section, you can get some really nice movement. So should we take a look at the modulation now? And the modulation section on this is really quite powerful as well. In fact, every little bit of this is quite powerful, which is great, which is why Arturia seem to have packed in so many great ideas into such a small space. So this modulation matrix, for example, if we look at this, we're just moving through the modulation. So let's modulate the timbre with the LFO. So it's doing that manually a second ago. So go to LFO, put it onto timbre, change the amount. Let's slow that LFO down. And that's synced. We can see this little lights lit here. So that's synced to the clock. Such a nice big fat dirty tone, and that's about 3 moves from the initial patch. Let's add something else just to see what it sounds like. Let's modulate the filter with this envelope here, and this envelope can cycle as well, so it's a bit like an additional LFO. So you can spend all day messing around with that. And what's really nice about it, it's just really obvious to see what's happening when we're in that matrix. So we can see there that there's 2 things that are being modulated at the minute, and you've just seen me set them up. So that's how simple that is. Another thing that this has got on it is paraphonic mode. Let's look at that. Paraphonic is a bit like polyphonic in that you can play more than 1 note at a time. Again, default patch. Put it into paraphonic mode and play an chord, but it's paraphonic, not polyphonic, because each of those notes doesn't have its own filter. It's like it builds the sound and puts the whole sound through this one filter here. But they've all got their own envelopes. But adding the envelope to the filter hear that wow sound? On a true polyphonic synth, each of the notes would have their own wow. This doesn't, because it's only got a single analog filter. To do that, you'd need 4 analog filters in there, and it'd get a lot more expensive. So I think it's a brilliant idea, actually, because you don't really miss it, especially when you're playing chords. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Little bass line on top of that, maybe? Sorry, I couldn't resist. It's just so much fun playing with this. So, what are my final thoughts? I think by now you've probably gathered, I think this is a spectacularly good value, great little bit of kit. It's about 270 to 300 pounds. The microphone's an extra 20, 25 pounds. There is a white version. I'm not sure if that was a special edition and you can still buy it, but that came with the mic. But that was a little addition. You know, they keep on doing these things with this, they keep on upgrading it. So it's come out with version 4 now, and on version 4 you can upload your own wavetables and things, and I've done a demo on my YouTube channel of how to upload different wavetables using Korg software. It's really simple, but again, that opens it up. You can load in wavetables from all over the internet. Absolutely brilliant. So what are its main competitors? There's the Uno Pro Desktop, and this features on one of my top synths of the year. I think this is absolutely brilliant. It's not a direct competitor for this year because the Microfreak's a couple of years old, but it's a bit more expensive, but it's all analog and it's got built-in effects. The Microfreak doesn't have effects. This doesn't have a vocoder, but again, a great little synth if you're looking at buying something for Christmas. And if you haven't got that much cash, there's also the Korg Microkorg. I featured this in one of the episodes last year. I think, again, this is about £150 used, or you can still buy them new for about 300. This one does have a vocoder and a big floppy microphone on it. So it's a crowded marketplace at this price point, but the Microfreak is definitely one to check out if you fancy giving yourself a little treat this Christmas. And if you enjoyed that, don't forget you can catch it whenever you like on our Clubbing TV official YouTube channel on the From the Studio playlist. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll see what I can do to answer them. And don't forget, if you are into your music tech and your synths, your drum machines, check out my Starsky Carr YouTube channel as well, where I've got a lot more in-depth and technical reviews and demos. So I will see you in the next episode of From the Studio.